Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over 3 different videos which cover the Romanian Revolution and kind of highlight the pros and cons, what things to get right, what things to get wrong. The 3 different videos are from a variety of channels. One of them has less than 1,000 views, another has around 50,000 views, and the final has 355,000 views. So we can see a range of different styles and what they choose to highlight and what they get right and wrong for a variety of big and small channels. I'm going to try and record this entire thing as just one, because that makes it such less of a pain to record and means I can get videos out quicker in the future. Obviously, I've taken a big break because I've been finishing stuff in my personal life, but now that that's over, I should be able to put more time into the channel, and also I will be getting some big parcels from Romania soon enough, so then I can do another kind of uniform video, and yeah, so that'll be the new content coming up. So for the first video, you might be clicking in the background, I apologise, is from On 10 Inc. So this channel has around 17,600 subscribers, and the video itself is called How Was Nicolae Ceausescu Overthrown? It has 774 views, and it was posted around 7 months ago. Apologies. So I'm going to play this, cut that audio out, and then talk about what he says. Let's begin.
People of Romania didn't have power like that, and Ceausescu had a lot of power over them. He would stop protests by killing his own people. You could say the Romanian army had permission to kill any anti-communist protesters.
No, you cannot say that. In Timișoara, for example, when things first started to get out of hand, the army, Securitate and police units did not shoot because the orders were just incredibly vague. They were not given clear orders to fire or not. Later, they would be given clear orders to fire, but this did not mean that they would. And saying that they had a free pass in it isn't really authentic to say that.
But the revolution begins to take a turn, and on the 16th of December 1989, Ceausescu gets very scared and begins to look for a solution.
I think saying he was very scared is a bit of an over-exaggeration. He was certainly worried. We cannot deny that. Sorry, I've got my little script here. Yes, he was definitely worried, but I think scared is too harsh. I mean, the trip itself to Iran had been decided quite a while ago, and it kind of gives the wrong impression that he kind of went there in order to avoid this. So this was an organised state visit, but he is correct in saying that it was over economic business. When he left, he was worried about the protests and was beginning to lose confidence in the army and security forces. But it's an interesting fact that it was actually the patriotic guards who he trusted the most. So this was those not in the army or police force itself, but those in modern day terms, a kind of reservist force of those who might not be in the fittest conditions, or maybe it's their age. So he did trust these more. But I personally think saying he was scared is a bit of an exaggeration.
3 days later, on the December of 21st, 1989, he returns to Bucharest. But this wasn't the same Bucharest he left. People were fuming. He decides to call his supporters of communism to have a speech in front of them. The video of this speech is extremely famous because when he's speaking, his quote-unquote supporters are booing him.
Okay, if you've seen my other videos on the day that the world stood still, documented by the BBC, this again, I can't, listening to this, I was kind of made speechless because yet again someone has doctored the video. They did not heckle Ceausescu during the speech. You can find the entire speech online, and people start to scream, as I will put on screen now in the Romanian Revolution book, which gives a plethora of references. The reason why the crowd started screaming, that's never been worked out, and it's most likely due to a malfunction of a light or a speaker. It was not them shouting to kind of call at him and heckle him. It was because of some kind of technical problem which caused a small panic, which order was then restored later on. But not only this is the second time we've seen, I think, I apologize if I repeat myself, it's just annoying, but this is the second time we're hearing the video doctored. They're putting audio over it, which has nothing to do with it. It's a complete lie. It's just a complete lie. And especially about events which we know about and that we have clear video of. So yeah, that was really disappointing.
He was so confident in his supporters that he allowed this speech to be aired live. He didn't expect his people to be against them in front of the world. You could say Ceausescu embarrassed himself in front of the world.
I mean, in front of the world, I think that's kind of an over-exaggeration again. So the video did get out to kind of Radio Free Europe and other such places, but to say he did it in front of the world is kind of an over-exaggeration. This was not something which was thrown around, like BBC or CNN or anything kind of like that at the time. This was something very centralized in Eastern Europe and Romania. And although, like I said, Radio Free Europe did get tapes of this, saying in front of the world implies it was on a big stage, which it really wasn't at the time.
When Ceausescu escapes Bucharest, Ion Iliescu is now the president of Romania.
Yeah, I believe he's oversimplifying the facts. When Ceausescu and Lena fled Bucharest, Ion Iliescu didn't just become PM. It's quite a complicated story, probably for another day, but it's very much an oversimplification to say after he fled, Iliescu simply became prime minister.
2 days later, on the 24th of December 1989, Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife were arrested by the Romanian army, and on the same day, they take him to court. When Ceausescu begins to speak that they're doing something wrong, the court tells him to shut up because there's no reason to stop this. We don't have time to bring proof, lawyers, or anything like that. All we know is that you and your wife are a disgrace to the Romanian people, and you have to spend the rest of your life in prison.
Okay, again, this is another just bold-faced lie. They were condemned to death. So again, this is just a bold-faced lie. They were not told that they were given a life sentence. They were to be executed for their crimes. Also, I'd like to highlight this pic comes from a reconstruction of the events, and although Elena and Nicolae, those actors playing them, are actually really quite accurate, and I really like it. The soldiers' uniforms are incredibly far, so it looks like a very modern helmet, just overalls and a G36C, which of course is incredibly inaccurate for this, but those playing Nicolae and Lena are really quite accurate. They did really well finding not only those actors, but also clothing department there. But yeah, going back to the point I was making, it's just a bold-faced lie. They weren't told they were given a life sentence. They were told they would be executed.
But it seems like they only said that for the people of the court, because after this, the Romanian army came and took Ceausescu and his wife. They thought they're going to prison, but they blindfolded them and took them outside, in the back of the courtroom. On the other side, the firing squad is waiting for them.
This carries on from the last point. No, they weren't told they were going to prison. They knew that they were going to be shot. They had been told that, and paratroopers came in to take them out together after having tied their hands behind their backs. So yeah, I think that's all for the On Tech Inc. video. In all, it was not great at all at telling the events of the revolution. Not only did we have doctored video, doctored audio, which they used for some reason, but that is then compounded by just bold-faced lies about saying that Ceausescu they were told that they were given a life sentence, which again is a bold-faced lie because we can find the video very easily online of them hearing the verdict that they are to be executed. So that's a bold-faced lie. And then on top of that, we just have oversimplifications of Iliescu becoming prime minister and all such things like that. So really, it's really not a good video on the Romanian Revolution, and I wouldn't suggest this video to anyone who wants to learn accurate information on the revolution. And the sad thing is, scrolling down to comments, we had people saying things like, "Oh, so useful, very interesting." So it's kind of sad to say that some people might indeed think everything he's saying is true and be tricked by this. So yeah, that's on Tech Inc.'s video. Next video is from HistoryPod. This is the channel with 55,000 subscribers, and with the video itself having 355,000 views, and this was posted a year ago. So this is the largest video we're going to look at. So let's get started.
With unrest increasing, Ceausescu addressed a staged demonstration from a balcony of the Central Committee of the Romanian Communist Party in Bucharest on the 21st of December. Despite the presence of the secret police, known as the Securitate, the crowd soon began to heckle the ruler.
Oh, and there we go for the second time today. Yes, again, you know the routine. You know exactly what I'm going to say before I'm going to say it. No, they did not heckle Ceausescu during the speech. Out of the 3 documentaries I've went over now, so I did Days That Shook the World, I've just done the one on, what's its name, on Tech Inc., and now this on HistoryPod. All 3 of them have said that the Ceausescu was heckled by the protesters, and 2 of them, last one and Days That Shook the World, just doctored audio and put other audio of people shouting over it to say, oh look, listen, you can hear them shouting at him. So again, this is a triple now of just hearing lies, which is quite a shame, because for a channel a lot bigger than the previous one, and that's got the most views so far, 355,000, you would have thought something as easy as this would have been researched properly, because through books such as the Romanian Revolution, you can go straight to that point, and it says, clear as day, there is no evidence to suggest that they were booing, it was a disturbance in the crowd.
Over the next few hours, the streets of Bucharest filled with protesters. Unable to regain control, the following morning Ceausescu and his wife fled the Central Committee building by helicopter. Their pilot soon faked a threat of anti-aircraft fire and landed, leading to the later arrest of the Ceausescus.
Perfect. So this is really nice to hear that he's got this right. So as stated in the Disaster of the World video, the pilot of the helicopter feigned a threat of anti-aircraft fire, that they would be shot down by the army, and that's why they landed. In other videos which we'll see, and other ones like This of the World, they normally go with the kind of the idea that he'd invented technical problems, but it's not true. And in the book Romanian Revolution, we can see what he says himself. So yeah, inventing anti-aircraft threat to have an excuse to down the helicopter. But again, this is a good point for the video.
They were subjected to a show trial on Christmas Day and found guilty of crimes including genocide and illegally gathering wealth. Having been sentenced to death, they were quickly taken outside and shot.
So I would say the rest of the video is perfect. The only point I really have against it is, again, with the heckling comments with Ceausescu's speech. Everything else is really good. So it's nice to know that there are a lot more authentic and accurate kind of made documentaries on the Romanian Revolution. And I would suggest to people, having told them, of course, that it's it does get things a little bit wrong in regard to the speech, but other than that, when it goes over the events afterwards, it's perfect. Yeah, well, in my opinion, of course. So the final one is a video from Who Was, which has 634 subscribers and 52,000 views. This was posted 5 years ago. So let's get into it.
The social, political, and economic events of the 80s came to a head in 1989 with the Romanian Revolution. Other countries of the Warsaw Pact had already seen their communist governments toppled, and protests stemming from the eviction of a Hungarian pastor gained steam in the city of Timisoara.
So the first point I'm coming to is pronunciation. And for me, it takes half a second to check on Google Translate or on Wikipedia the pronunciation of a place or name. And there's a big difference between Timisoara and Timisoara. The sh and the s, even though I'm not asking anyone to have perfect pronunciation, the difference between the s and the sh sound is quite obvious. So yeah, it would have been nice if they had double checked with that. But like I said, I'm not stating that they have to have perfect pronunciation. I don't even speak Romanian myself, but when doing things like this, I'm trying my best to make sure that I get the pronunciations as best I can for someone who doesn't speak the language.
Eventually becoming a fully fledged populist revolution. After a botched speech in Bucharest, which Nicolae had hoped to quell the violence, but instead stoked the fires, the dictator was not able to speak over the cries from the crowd.
And there we go. In just this video on my channel, that is a triple for documentaries which say that there was hecklers in the crowd of Ceausescu's speech. For the third and final time for this video, no, there were not hecklers in the crowd. For the third and final time in this video again, we know that there was no official documented cause of it, and that it is most likely a technical error or spark in which some equipment malfunctioned or fell over, broke, which caused slight panic for a moment, but then order was restored. At least this video and the last one doesn't have doctored audio like the Days That Shook the World and the first one we looked at today, but again, still it's incorrect saying that there was hecklers. This is part of a bigger problem which I might do a video on, in which I think because of the documentaries which cover this in the 90s, because they say this, anyone who wants to make a video in the more recent times, like these videos, will go back to those documentaries and get that information, but it's wrong. And this is where looking through academic sources, looking through books will really help and give a more authentic picture of history, because it feels like the events of the Romanian Revolution happened. There was documentaries and TV programs produced around the time which had incorrect facts, because obviously the investigations which give us the truth today hadn't been held. And when those YouTubers today or others want to make videos on it, they will go back to these documentaries which sadly are incorrect and were made before these revelations came out. So it's kind of a trickling down of false facts, but we think, oh, it's closer to the time, it must be more authentic and have the facts, but sadly that's not the truth.
As a group of protesters forced their way into the Ministry of Defense, leaving by helicopter with protesters literally at their heels portrayed the couple as fugitives, and in the people's eyes at the time, guilty of the crimes they were accused of. As the Ceausescus fled the capital, their pilot faked problems with the helicopter, probably to avoid harm to himself, and landed.
Okay, so this is small error, as we know. As we said, looking over the last video, it was not an error. Okay, so a small error. As we know, the pilot of the helicopter invented threats of a gunfire or being shot down. It was not technical problems. Although this is a small error, I'm quite happy to overlook it. Obviously, the heckling of Ceausescu comment is a bigger problem because we have clear footage of that, and we have the academic sources to back up the idea that it wasn't heckling, certainly wasn't heckling, it was most likely slight panic because of technical error. So, that has been the 3 videos. I would like to thank the channel, let me find it, Video Wasteland. They have uploaded many video broadcasts from a variety of countries which covered the Romanian Revolution, so which were actually on the street during it. All credit goes to them for uploading these videos of the revolution. But yeah, in regard to the 3 videos, some were better than others, some really on the poor quality end, obviously doctored audio, and some were a lot better, who just had slight small errors in what they said. Please do not send any negative comments or harassments towards these channels. This is just me going over their videos. Like I said, I've definitely got things wrong in the past, so please be kind and respectful. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be coming up with more videos either on the revolution or more uniforms in the future. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.